Welcome to the Toxin Terminator, helping people to restore and renew their health by removing the toxins from the home and their lives. Join in as industry thought leaders help you understand the physical and emotional effects these products can have on you and your family, and the safe alternatives you can use to remove the hidden toxins for renewed health. Now, please welcome your host, the Toxin Terminator herself, Aimee Carlson.
Toxins are the number one contributor to disease and inflammation in the body. But where are they? It's confusing, overwhelming, and downright exhausting. Grab my free ebook at bit.ly/TWH Blacklist, where I'm going to walk you through the kitchen, the laundry room, the bathroom, and the bedroom, giving you exactly what to avoid. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast, The Toxin Terminator. Now, remember, we are in a ratings and review drive. Woohoo! So what we're going to do is each month, June, July, and August, if you're liking what you're hearing on The Toxin Terminator, please go in and leave a rating and review on iTunes for me. And what I'll do is once you leave that rating and review, each month I'm doing a drawing. Now, this month, what we're putting together is a fantastic package full of books and lots of books. I have so many author friends, so many experts that have been on the podcast, and you're going to get a plethora of information that is going to be valid for you to live that healthy, best lifestyle that you have. Now, in today's episode, I have got my good friend Naomi Damask joining us again. She is really leading the field in nutrigenomics and biohacking, and we have partnered together for something really exciting that's launching in August. And I can't wait to share with you guys. We've been kind of talking over the last several podcasts about little tidbits here and there of what we got going on. But Naomi, thank you so much for joining us again.
Aimee, it's always a pleasure to be speaking with you. You're just a bright sunshine in my life. So thank you.
Oh, I love that I can be your sunshine. Little pocket full of sunshine. You know, we started working together back in September of last year. We haven't even been a year.
No.
It's crazy to me what happens in the span of a year. So if you don't know, Naomi is a breast cancer thriver. It's coming up on 10 years.
I know. I can't believe it. Literally, it gives me chills when I think about where I was and now where I'm at.
I know. And you just went back to your hometown of Chicago with your daughter. And I know you were driving around visiting old sites. And one of them was a place that you spent a lot of time at. Walk us through what receiving that diagnosis at such a young age was like for you and your family.
You know what? I will never, ever forget that day. To get that phone call, it actually came from my OB. She had called and said, you know what, call me. And if I'm with a patient, have my nurse interrupt me. And that's you right away, you know, it's probably the best news. And all I remember her saying is, I am so sorry to tell you this over the phone, but it is cancer. And she said, North Shore, that's where I ended up going up in Evanston when I lived in the city of Chicago. And so I decided to go up there for treatment. She said, the doctors are waiting for your phone call. I mean, talk about a sucker punch. When you hear that and you know nothing else besides that they are waiting for your phone call, you start to your mind goes off the deep end thinking, am I dying? Am I dying? Yeah. And I had, I was in my 30s and I would have been quote unquote, the picture of health. I was active, I'm social. I was running marathons back in my days and, everything seemed fine. I ate probably a pretty clean diet, like what normal people are eating.
No, what's normal?
According to my teenage daughters, they always tell me, Mom, we're not the normal family. And I always tell them about to change what normal is. So,
yeah.
But it made me pause. It made me really pause. And I just said to God, you know what? Use me up, use my story, use what I'm going through to help other people. And I kept telling my husband, this diagnosis is a gift, because not only did I have one invasive tumor, I had two, Aimee. And I was blessed to have two, because they said the type that I had, the one lobular, they said I would have probably have never felt that lump. And because I was under the age of 40, I wouldn't have had a mammogram. And at the time it would have grown too fast, they said.
Isn't that, it's, when we can look at things in hindsight, I'm sure at the time while you were going through that in the initial stages, you did not look at that as a gift or a blessing. I'm sure it was a very, very scary time. But I really like where you went after the diagnosis. Not like I didn't have a major diagnosis of cancer. In my story, I had a lot of things going on, but not that. Talk to us about, what did you do? So you had this diagnosis, scary, overwhelming time. And then what?
So Aimee, I'm the type that, go big or go home type girl. I'm a risk taker. I'm going to do it all. And so as soon as I got diagnosed, I let everyone in my network know, because I wanted to talk to every single person that had ever dealt with breast cancer before me. I wanted to know what they did, why they did it, and how they are now.
Oh, I could totally see you doing this.
Oh, yeah. You know me. I'm a researcher. I just can't talk to one person. I had to talk to a zillion people. And the information that I gathered along the way was, I decided to make my own personal choice. And at the time, I did a bilateral mastectomy. I ended up doing chemotherapy, and chemotherapy was not on my radar. When you stop to think about this, it was almost 10 years ago. So social media was not where it is today. Exactly. So the information out there wasn't being shared. I did start to dive in. I started to follow Chris Carr, who I think she's amazing, and her story is amazing. She's helped so many people. Chris Wark, I reached out to them. I've had, friends that have been able to connect me with other people like Dr. V as well. So I reached out to other people that I knew that were quote unquote experts in their field of the cancer, and that have also been thriving, because that's the whole thing, is I wanted to thrive, and not just go through it. And it was really eye-opening to have my family say, you're not just green juicing or doing all these things that you want to do naturally. You need to do chemotherapy. And so my oncologist was amazing, blessed, very much a godsend to me. But I also realized that I was like, this is my body. I get the final say. I know my husband was scared because I had two little girls at the time. And I just said, here's the deal. I will do chemotherapy, but I will only do 4 rounds, the bare minimum.
Right.
And that's all I did. And I say it was such a godsend, because here's the whole thing. I was highly allergic to my chemo. They had to slow my drip way down. And then they had to just basically inject so many other drugs in me so I wouldn't react to it. Right. And now that I know more about my body and understand, my body just does not like drugs. It just doesn't. I had my children naturally. I've had dental work naturally. I just don't react well because of my chemistry. And now I understand how I metabolize things, and how every single person is different. That is why one size does not fit all. And that's why we have to be in tune with our own body, Aimee.
Yes. I love that story. And that you got to be able to take the people who were important in your life, have those important conversations, but still yet decide and use the doctors too, not just your family, but the doctors, and really planning out that care. I like how you went into afterwards, though, that I wanted to know, what do I need now? Okay, I've been through the treatments, and now what? And what was that constant feedback that you kept getting?
First of all, from my regular doctors, there wasn't a lot of information about the aftercare. Right. It was almost like I was like, all right, you're done. Like, go back out into the world again.
See ya.
And that's what I just really struggle with still to this day is they don't talk about what does your wellness plan really look like. I went to a couple doctors, but even so with them, it was all about here's some new vitamins, here's some new supplements to take, and eat a cleaner lifestyle. But it did not walk you through the major pillars that everyone needs in their life. And I reflected back about, all right, why did I get cancer? And I say this all the time. I take ownership of my cancer. And I know a lot of people will say, why would you do that? Like, do you blame yourself? I'm like, I don't blame myself, but I take ownership. And it's really, I wasn't going to avoid it with the lifestyle that I was leading prior to this and with my genetics. And one thing I will say is genes play a very small percent in people's diagnosis. It really is very small. It's your lifestyle and in your environment.
It's key. It's so key. So you've got the story of cancer. This is the diagnosis, and you've got to take a hard, fast look at where you were, what led up to it, and you've got things that happened in your life. And I had the same kind of situation. I had a whole bunch of reproductive issues. I had the migraines and things happening to me, and I worked on cars for a living, and I really blamed that environment because when I think toxins and I think environment, I'm thinking industrial. Right. I'm thinking, that type of thought, not others. And when I started digging in and I started learning, I was pissed.
Oh,
I was pissed.
Oh, absolutely, Aimee. And I worked for one of the largest cosmetic companies in the world. And I look back and thinking I was slathering on all that stuff, and it's mind blowing that here in the US, as advanced as we are, our standards are so low.
We have this philosophy, and if you've been following the podcast at all, you guys know I say this all the time. Here in the United States, it's prove it's not safe, not prove it's safe. It's so completely backwards. Just to give you an example, European nations have banned well over 1,300 ingredients out of personal care and cosmetics, just there alone, right? United States, less than 20. Less than 20. Let me give you this other tidbit of factual information. There has never been one single study ever done in how products, ingredients work together in synergy with each other. Now, let's think about this. In a single product, shampoo, for instance, lots of ingredients in there. Now, you don't just shampoo your hair. Most women put some conditioner on there. Most of them use some sort of a mousse or a hair enhancer, a hairspray, something like that. That's just hair. You got deodorant, you got toothpaste. So don't tell me you're using one single ingredient. And the other thing too is while it might be safe at this level, for instance, parabens, which are one leading cause to breast cancer, it might be safe at this particular level. But the fact is you're using it in probably 20, 30 different products.
Well, and Aimee, I never really stopped to think about that until you said that in regards to what happens with the synergies. I never, ever, until you mentioned that probably like a couple months ago. That's why I always tell people I'm still learning. Like I'm constantly learning because I was like, oh, that makes sense. The synergies, just like anything, when you put something together, you're like in cooking, I always think back to cooking. And it's like you add the wrong ingredient and everything can be a disaster.
The cake doesn't taste good anymore. Well, and I learned something this morning. I was just on a summit about menopause. Did you know that there's BPAs in sunscreen?
No, I knew it was in receipts.
Right. Tin cans, UV filters. UV filters have BPAs in them. That is crazy. I never even thought about it being in sunscreen. Anyways, we're off on a tangent. You know us, we go on these little tangents. Okay, so here we are, poor health, made, living life just like so many other women out there are living, right? And your wake-up call was your diagnosis. My wake-up call, honestly, I hate to say this, but even with all the health issues I had going on, I still didn't really know what was wrong. And I wasn't getting any answers. So I kind of thought this is just as good as it's going to get. But I shared a story, I think with you, maybe to some of our listeners, where I walked out of the room one morning and when we were traveling by our motorhome, and I came out into the living room where my husband was having his morning coffee because he gets up at the cracks early dawn and I do not. And he's sitting there looking at me like, so those of you that are watching this, you can see me, I'm tilting my hand. Think of a puppy dog, right? And you talk to him and he tilts his head side to side and he's looking at you like, what are you going to do? Are you going to throw me the toy? And that's how he's looking at me. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he says, well, I'm trying to see which Aimee woke up today.
Ooh. Okay, that gave me chills.
That was a gut check. I mean, a real gut check, because I knew I was exhausted. I knew I wasn't sleeping. I knew I had all these things going on with me, but I didn't realize the impact it was having on my loved ones. And that was like, I got to do something about this. And my big thing at that point was menopause issues, driven by the stuff that we were just talking about. And after I got help, I had my daughter-in-law come to me and she's like, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I'm not sure what you've been doing, but you're like so not on an emotional roller coaster anymore. And you're really quite fun to be around. I'm like, oh God.
Thank God I didn't know that, Aimee.
I'm like, ew, and so I think sometimes it's hard to really know the impact your actions are having, especially, I guess for me, I was oblivious to it. And
it's true. I did the same thing with my husband, because when I was diagnosed, I went to the extremes. I mean, literally, I came home and I was like, we're not eating this. We're not having this in the house. I'm not getting this. I get rid of every pan. I mean, poor Ryan was like, his head was spinning.
Yeah.
Right. And it was one day that he finally looked at me and he said, what is it that you can eat? Because everything you tell me is you can't, I can't. Because I was dairy-free, I was gluten-free, I was soy-free, I was dairy, you name it, whatever, free. I was free of that. And it drove me crazy as well. Not only him and my poor girls who had no voice at that time because they were so little. They really didn't have a choice, but their mom went crazy.
If we burn ourselves, we cannot heal that burn if we are still on the flame, right? That would be silly to put salve on a burn and then put our hand right back on that stove. The same is true for healing our bodies. If you've changed the way you eat and are moving your body daily, but still lacking that energy and in constant pain, and you can't lose the weight, then maybe it's time to remove your hand from the fire. If this is something you need help with, go to transformingwomenshealth.com and click on Vitality Accelerator. We are helping women boost their body's natural detox, accelerate fat loss with ease, and reverse aging naturally. Why are we offering this? Well, number one, community. We are 95% more likely to achieve our health goals when we are surrounded by like-minded women. Genes are not our destiny. We know through these steps we can prevent and reverse chronic disease. No more guesswork and no more gimmicks. We know working with an expert coach gets us results faster with simple lifestyle changes. And lastly, the new normal. This last year has taught us how important our health is. Now is the time to revitalize. check us out at transformingwomenshealth.com and click on Vitality Accelerator. Yeah, and that's hard. That's the thing too. We make these changes for ourselves, and then we automatically just assume that everybody in our little circle is going to jump right on board with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes not the case. So we've got these pretty powerful stories that we've both been through, and we actually met a couple years ago. And then last September, because of October being all about breast cancer, but it's in a way that's not how you and I think, right? Mm-hmm. We want to think along the lines of, we know it's preventable. We know that there's lifestyle changes that you can take. This last year, I have been talking all about lifestyle choices that we make because, friends, your ultimate health is in your hands. It really, truly is. You can either take responsibility for that or not. But we talked and we're like, no, we're not doing the pink ribbon stuff. Well,
and it's so funny, Aimee, because I never in a million years thought when I picked up the phone to call you and say, hey, I want to do something, that it would have turned into a partnership. It would have turned into a huge event that we had over 25 expert speakers on our More Than Pink Ribbon, and that now it's an annual event, and that we have people asking to speak on this summit. Like, I never in a million years dreamt that. I just thought, we'll do something little. But I should have gone with you.
Go big or go home. But that's the beauty of everything, right? Is we don't know where things are going to lead us to. I would have never dreamt today, like you said, that I'd have a partnership and that we would be unleashing Vitality Accelerator. But it's the growth of this past year that's led us to where we are. It's the, listening to the experts. It's hiring the people, hiring the coaches to help us because we knew we were sitting on something. We're hearing women loud and clear. They need help. In a big way. They need help. And we heard that loud and clear since last October, but we didn't know how to deliver it. Mm-hmm. We didn't, everything that we were trying to do wasn't getting delivered. And so here we were treading water, right? Well, let's do this. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, well, let's go over here and let's do this. And then that didn't work. And then, hey, how about this? And, so here we are trying to do it on our own. And, not having success in how we have defined it. And then we finally hired a coach. Mm-hmm. So in May, we said, you know what? We got to do what we're telling people to do with us. We got to take a look at who out there is having success. And not only are they having success, but they are teaching others how to have the success in the arena that we're looking, to be in. And thank you, my dear friend Belden Combe. I love you, man. You're listening. You've changed our lives, and that's the beauty of those ripple effects. I like it. I can feel tears coming because this is so big, and going to help so many women, which is truly where we're at.
You're gonna make me cry because that is really my passion, Aimee. Is I know that I have spent so much money on myself, and it was probably the hardest thing to do. And one of my best friends, she's never had issues spending money on herself when it comes to personal development, hiring coaches, and everything else. And when I finally did it, it was almost like, oh, okay. And then you keep learning. And I've never once regretted any of the money that I've spent on coaches. No. Because that is why I am where I am today from every standpoint in my life. And I just want to keep up leveling. And I don't want to look back a year from now. And I see people sitting on the sidelines and just saying, I want help, but yet they are not willing to step up to take the action that it's going to take them to have a different outcome from a year from now.
And that was me for so much time. And we even did it ourselves. Listen, we get it. Mm-hmm. we still do that in different areas, but every single time I have reached my hand out and said, I need help. And I've been willing to pay for it from an expert, guiding me along, giving me from step A to step B to step C. It's not A to Z. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of letters in between there. It has been beautiful. Absolutely beautiful every single time. Going to Travis Chappell's and learning how to do a podcast. Oh my gosh. I mean, life is so different because I stepped out to that and invested in myself and I learned, right? Writing the book, all this stuff. And I had to hire someone to help me learn how to do that. And so this is what we're doing here as well. We created Vitality Accelerator because we knew women need help with this. Women need to know what do they need to do. And so this launches, and we're helping women. What are we helping them do?
Well, first of all, we are really looking at what are the vitality blockers.
Ooh.
That is a big one right there, because if you are not addressing that first and foremost, you're going to keep just treading water and not going anywhere. And at some point you will drown. You really will. Yep. And then helping the natural detox pathway, which is my favorite area, which is so important for our body. It literally is, our bodies are made to heal.
Yes. And
they are these amazing machines that it's like having a manual. And, it's like, we don't want to sometimes look at it. We throw it to the side, right? Because we're stubborn and then you get stuff done wrong. I mean, to give you an example, my daughter's nightstand upstairs, I need to redo it because the one board is upside down wrong. But I had got it all put together, Aimee, because I was like, I don't need this thing. I can do this. And now it's there, from a year later, and I still haven't fixed it. But there's
upside down
a manual, and that it starts with our natural detox pathways. That is like the internal manual that most people don't even know exist.
Right. And all the levels I mean, we could go on and on, but one of my favorites is accelerating fat loss with ease. Now, when I went on my health journey, first of all, I have been a thin person my entire life. I have never had to look at what I eat, not once. I could eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, however I wanted, and I didn't think it was affecting me, but it was. And even though I was thin, I was unhealthy. But I did gain weight, and I look back to pictures of myself from 10 years ago, and I see this swollen, inflamed person. But I wasn't still, even at that point, trying to lose weight. But weight loss is such a beautiful side effect of healing the body. Mm-hmm. It just naturally drops when we give the body what it needs to do the function that it's designed to do. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So then we accelerate fat loss with ease. We reverse aging naturally. Another one of my absolute favorites. And here's all I have to say is I see people that haven't seen me even for a year, or maybe it's been 10 years. And every single one of them, what are you doing? You are reversing. You're not aging at all. And so that to me says I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right things. And I look at your skin and it's glowing. It's glowing. There's a difference when we take all those vitality blockers away. It's amazing what happens.
It is, Aimee. I mean, I look at people that I know are 10 years younger than me, and they look older than me. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty sad.
It is. There's examples gajillion around us. The last step, and these are all intertwining. It isn't like, one thing is, but these are the things that we promise that we'll help you with. I know it's your favorite one.
Reduce the stress and rejuvenate. That is a big one, because here's the thing. Stress, it's never going away.
No.
We are always going to have stress in our life. We are going to have emotional stress. We're going to have financial stress. We're going to have cellular stress. And the thing is, our body does not know the difference between any of them. It's just stress on your cells.
Yep. So the beauty of thing about it is, so the Vitality Accelerator handles all these, and they touch me in so many different ways, each and every one of them. But this is the promises that are out there, that, we walk you through the steps as the experts to get you from point A to point Z and everything in between. And I ask you because right now we're in July, and I'm not sure when this is going to air, but we still have another half of a year. You might have set intentions for your year, maybe goals for the year, maybe, whatever you do for the year. And you come into July and you're like, okay, well, we're not crushing it. You still have another half of a year. And I ask you, what are you waiting for? If you're always waiting, well, when this calms down, well, I hear this one, I'm so busy right now. I'm so busy right now. I have this going on. I have that going on. There's always going to be an obstacle in your way if you let it be in your way. And that's, boils down to your choice. But I just love that we're putting this out here. I love that we're going to be able to impact women in so many ways, so many ways.
And I want women to realize that you're not going to be doing this by yourself.
Right.
We are there along the whole entire journey with you, which I think is really important, because I know I've done other programs, Aimee, that it was just like courses that I bought and then I never saw or heard from these coaches again.
Right.
That's not it. You're not just purchasing something. You are literally getting 2 coaches to work with you, alongside you, and to know what your goals are and where you want to go, and to have someone hold you accountable. That is the biggest thing right there.
Right.
That accountability.
And it's not just us as your coaches, because you have both of us getting with you weekly, plus you'll have individual one-on-one coaching calls, but you've got a whole community of women who are walking this with you, that we know when we're surrounded by people who are doing the same thing we are more likely to achieve our goal. It is scientifically proven. And so you have this whole community. You will meet women from across the globe that you will make fast, lifelong friends with. And it will be absolutely amazing. So we're at the end of our time. And gosh, we could talk about this for hours on end. The website down below is transformingwomenshealth.com. So if you're listening and not watching, it's transformingwomenshealth.com. Right at the top of our website is the Vitality Accelerator. Click on it. Jump on a phone call. We'll you and your health issues that you have going on, and we'll figure out if this is something that's for you or not. But it's worth that phone call. It's worth, loving on yourself. If it's for you, it's for your family, it's for your loved ones.
Oh, well, I can't wait to have great conversations with all these people that say yes.
Thank you, Naomi. I'm so glad and blessed to be locking arms with you and 1 million women.
That's right. Here we go. Buckle up.
Thank you.
That's all for this episode of the Toxin Terminator, and we hope we've helped you remove the hidden toxins in your life for renewed health. If you're looking to continue your journey towards full rejuvenation, reach out to Aimee directly by visiting aimeecarlson.com for your own one-on-one chat session, as well as your free toxic risk assessment. That's AIMEEcarlson.com. And remember, you are just one small change away from renewed health.